Okay, cool. So hi everyone, welcome to the Hit the Floor podcast. This is podcast number 2. I'm Chris, I'm the network editor for Hit the Floor. With us today is, first of all, James.
Hello. It's your senior music editor here, and today I've been listening mainly to this, Integrity by JME, which he should have won Best Album at the Mobile Awards, but shit happens.
True, it should have won. I love that album. Martin, do you want to introduce yourself?
Well, I'm the indie person at Hit the Floor, and I haven't really been listening to too much lately.
That's always useful.
It's always honesty.
Jay?
I'm the assistant editor, but real powerhouse behind mosh.hitthefloor.com. I've been listening to a lot of these guys. Ken Mode, they're a noise rock band from Canada. You should check them out and like them.
Nice. Okay, and last of all, we've got Jack.
Hi, I'm Jack. I'm just a standard writer. I've been listening to Sleazy Kinney's latest comeback album.
Oh, that's such a good album. I've just bought Harry Brown's.
I have got this stuffed wolf.
I think that wins, to be honest.
Can't beat a stuffed wolf. Well, it's
not a real wolf.
Not a real wolf.
Speaking of playing Kenny, I've just bought the Carrie Brownstein's book, so I have to let you know how that is.
Definitely, let me know.
Good stuff. Right, so today's subject is band reunions, for the love or for the money. Mainly based today around the recent story of the Stone Roses. They've kind of been on a hiatus for the last few years. Recently announced they're going to be playing Tea in the Park and also some few gigs in Manchester, not necessarily all based around Stone Roses, but about band reunions in general. So we're going straight to Martin. Martin, what do you think of the current Stone Roses reunion?
Well, I think generally band reunions kind of depend on the bands, without kind of, who gives a toss about whether Blue reunite for a bit of money on ITV, but if it's the Stone Roses and you've got a bit of cultural significance, then, why the hell not? I mean, you look at the Sex Pistols reuniting in the 90s and, they turned around and went, well, we've got fuck all money in the 70s and sort of went, yeah, let's take the cash, There's nothing wrong with saying that. It's the same reason with the Libertines when they were formed in, 2010? And in the press conference, they were actually asked what was the most appealing thing about the 500,000 reported fee they were getting for doing Reading, and Pete Doherty just said, well, what's left after tax?
Has anyone actually been to any reunion tours over the last few years?
Too many.
Yes.
Which ones have you been to, James?
Well, the last reunion show that I went to was when Refused finally came back to the UK, and I actually saw them do their first UK show at Download, and there was a lot more curious people in the crowd, but there was me having like this mind-blowing introspective moment, which ended up going into like a physical frenzy into like the pit surrounding me. But that was kind of like the last reunion show that I went to. But I've been to quite a lot of reunion shows in general. I can't even really think off the top of my head exactly who, but I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I mean, like, the first proper reunion that I saw was the Pixies when they headlined at Reading Festival in, I think it was 2005, I think it was, 2004 maybe, not entirely sure, but I loved it because it was a chance for a whole new generation of people to be reintroduced to a band that they may have never necessarily got to see around the first time. However, I can actually see the problem in people being like, oh, this band's reuniting because they just want the money. Yeah, but isn't it the whole point of a business? A band is a business at the end of the day, and in order for a business to survive, it doesn't matter whether it's financial benefit or whether it's just for the fact of you just love doing what you're doing, or whether it's just the credentials that were never due in the first place. Absolutely fine, no matter what. But in the terms of the Stone Roses, their reunion was actually a few years ago, but then they went quiet after the little bust up at I think it was Lollapalooza, maybe. Is it Lollapalooza?
No, they had a bust up in, was it Barcelona, and then did Heaton Park afterwards, and then they did the Isle of Wight. So the bus stops way back in the history in terms of the reunion.
So I thought the bust up was when they was in America.
No. You're talking about the one where Ian Brown called Rennie a cunt?
Possibly, yeah.
Well, they did Coachella and no one really
That's
turned up.
it. Coachella.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because they had to switch with Blur, didn't they?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
everyone was loving Blur, even though apparently half the people didn't know who they were, and yeah, pretty much no one turned up for Stone Roses. I'm always a bit apprehensive on reunions in general, especially if they're like seminal bands, because like I'm kind of just a bit like, if it's only really with the new music. If they're going to put out new music, it has to be as seminal as their previous stuff was. Like, I think I have no problem with touring. So like Pixies, for example, like you said then, I didn't really care for their comeback album, but I'd love to see them live to perform their old stuff. And that's what I think. If Stone Roses made another album, I can't see it being any good at all. Like,
I must say though, I actually checked out the Pixies' new album whilst I was flying over to Florida a couple of months ago, and it really surprised me. It's friggin' awesome. So
Yeah, I'd say there's 2 good tracks.
yeah, I wasn't that blown away, but then I never expect to be. I always try and be a bit like, I don't expect much from bands when they come back, because then I'll be disappointed. Say like if Neutral Milk Hotel announced that they were going to make another album, it would have to be as mystical and beautiful as their last one, otherwise it would completely ruin their legacy, despite the fact they're touring. I'd love to see them tour, but then there's, on the other hand, there's bands who come back after ages and make the best material they've ever made, like Swans. Their last album was absolutely fantastic. I think it was the best album they've ever done.
I'd say similar with Slater-Kinney.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really hard. I always go into it trying not to enjoy it, but like a bit like, is this going to live up to the hype?
I know exactly what you mean.
Pleasantly surprised, or I just get what I expected, a disappointing comeback record that could possibly turn off a new generation. If a new generation listens to a new album over their old stuff, they're going to be turned off, which is why it's so risky for so many people to release new music with people, especially if they haven't seen them in so long. Like if they haven't, like the band members haven't seen each other in so long, and then they decide to make a record together, there's not going to be the same chemistry there that was once there. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, what you were saying, there is a problem with some reunions where the band hate each other and they literally are just reforming just
for the money.
to play a show. And when you do see them, it doesn't live up to it. So, like for example,
does anyone remember when the Verve reunited?
No,
that's a good example.
No, I mean, I remember seeing
Shite album, and they absolutely hated each other.
I remember seeing at the drive-in. I don't know whether they hated each other or not, but I was really excited to see them, and they were really disappointing. They were terrible.
Well, the thing with
to be honest,
driving is they're just volatile in general.
Yeah, but they had no liveliness. There was nothing. They just stood there and got on with it, and they could have ruined it.
I think Death from Above, they've kind of lacked a bit of soul from what I've seen as well.
Yeah, I've heard that about them as well. It's like everyone wants an Oasis reunion. I don't at all. Not even in the.
Why would you want to see Oasis phone it in?
Not even as in a tour. They like towards the end of the days, they couldn't even stand. Like they couldn't even look at each other when they were on stage. I wouldn't want to see a reunion of that. That'd be terrible.
The thing with bands like Oasis, I think, especially, they had such a prolonged career. When you think about it, it weren't that short a career, and every year, every album was a dwindling return, essentially. I mean, if you look at
the story.
Oh yeah, but if you go from each album onwards, apart from a couple of rare exceptions, each album got worse. So creatively, you'd have to say relatively they're defunct. I mean, you've only got to look at Liam Gallagher's offerings, haven't you?
Well, I must say though, I must ask, what did everyone think of David Bowie's comeback album The Next Day?
See, I thought
it was a really good album.
I did.
And funnily enough, I'll shoehorn some Suede in. Why not? Every time Suede announced an album, David Bowie announces one.
Okay. Is that a fact?
Well, basically, when Bloodsports came out, that was a week after David Bowie's last album, and Suede announced first. This time round, Night Thoughts comes out a week after Bowie's reported new album, and that was announced first.
So is there a Suede Bowie conspiracy that we don't know about?
That's what I'm saying. Yes.
I think we should pen one for the magazine.
Yeah, get to work on that. You'll see it soon, everyone.
Well, supposedly Suede pissed off Bowie in the 90s, so maybe that's Bowie's comeback.
Or they're just challenging each other to album sales every time.
Yeah, but I think once people hit a certain age with Bowie, with Swans, no one expects much from like much older people. So when they put out like an incredible, I don't think really anyone obviously expects.
I would argue
Bowie
with
to be
Bowie
like,
that it was that much more sensational because it just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. If
you fuck off for 30 or, well, not 30 years, but 10 years or whatever, and then just out of nowhere, no hype whatsoever, it just comes, okay, my album's coming out in a month. That's pretty special.